Hello students, in this video we're going to do algebraic manipulation, changing the subject of a formula. Right, you may refer to the previous video I've uploaded. It's actually generated using AI on the concepts behind changing the subject of a formula. In this video, we're going to practice different questions to apply this concept. So for each question, we are asked to make the letter in the square bracket the subject of the given formula. This question we're going to do is similar to your homework question from exercise 1.4, question 1b. And when we said make the letter in the square bracket, we refer to this letter here. So we need to make H the subject in this equation. Right, observe that there are three groups in this formula. And if you look at it carefully, although MGH, there are three variables there, MGH means M times G times H. So it is still considered one group. So in usual practice, we would not remove a group with three variables without removing the group with a single variable. Right, so the group with the single variable, there are two groups with a single variable. One is your P, and one is your positive C. But because we're going to make the letter H the subject, and your positive C is beside the letter MGH, we need to remove positive C first. And to remove it, we always use the opposite. So positive C, the opposite is negative C. Right, so we're going to subtract C on both sides. And that will give us P minus C equals to MGH. All right, so the next step now is we're going to eliminate this letter because MGH means M times G times H. We're going to eliminate M and G. And since the opposite of times is divide, we're going to divide both sides with MG. And that will give us H equals to P minus C over MG. You just need to shift because to make the letter the subject, it must be always on the left-hand side. So from P minus C over MG equals to H, you need to change the position, make H on the left and P minus C over MG on the right. So whatever letter that you need to make it as a subject, it is the king. So it's always on the left-hand side. And that's how we do question 1. For question 2, this is similar to your homework question, exercise 1.4, question 1D and 1F. Let's take a look at the question. And we need to make the letter A the king. So what is step 1? Yes, the one inside the bracket, it's a group. This is a group, right? So as what we mentioned earlier on, whatever group that have more than one variables, we do not manipulate it first. So what do we do then? Yes, we're going to rewrite the expression. This is similar to what we have learned earlier on, that mgh means m times g times h, which is equivalent to m times h times g, equivalent to h times m times g. You will get the same answer. Hence, I shifted HL to put it beside 3/4. Because what this means is 3/4 times bracket A plus B times HL. Okay, so that's step 1. Right, I'm going to make 3/4 a whole number, because that will be easier to manage. So how do I do it? So to make 3/4 a whole number, I simply just multiply by 4 on both sides. And therefore 3/4 times 4 will just give you 3. You can use a calculator to verify it. 3/4 times 4 just give you 3. So we would have 4y equals to 3 times HL times bracket A plus B close bracket. Now the next thing is, oh, I'm missing an E here. Right, so the next thing is, what is the opposite of times? Yes, the opposite of times is divide. And I'm going to divide both sides by 3HL, because I need to eliminate this first. Okay, and what I've done here is just because I'm making A the king, so basically I just have to shift the whole group. Okay, shift the whole group. That is one group, remember? But that's one group. Inside the bracket is one group. Shift the whole group to the left, and then 4y over 3HL, shift it to the right. Okay, so the opposite of positive B, this is positive B, opposite is negative B. So step number 4 is to subtract B on both sides. And therefore, we get A equals to 4y over 3HL minus B. Now, some students may want to combine these two fractions into one. It is not necessary, but if you want to combine these two fractions into one, it's possible to have this as the answer. Okay, but it is not necessary. And this is how we do question 2. For question 3, this is similar to the homework questions from exercise 1.4 question 2a. And if you examine the formula that's given to us, you see this is a fraction, right? It's a fraction. A over 1 minus r is algebraic fractions. So step number 1, we're just going to make it a non-fraction. And therefore, to do that, we just multiply with 1 minus r on both sides. Just recall earlier on we have 3/4. And to make 3/4 a whole number, we multiply with 4. We multiply with the denominator. And so therefore, the 4 and the 4 can cancel off. Right, it's actually 3 times 4. Okay, when we do that, it's actually 3/4 times 4 over 1. And that gives you 12 over 4. And 12 divided by 4 is 3. Or the same way as saying 4 divided by 4 gives you 1. So that is 3 times 1 gives you 3. Whichever way you want to understand it. All right, so we're going to multiply both sides with 1 minus r. And therefore, you're left with b. Okay, there's something very important because you're multiplying with 1 minus r that consists of 2 terms. Therefore, this bracket here is very important. This bracket must be there. Okay, it is not the same. This b bracket 1 minus r is not the same as b. Okay, it is not the same. You're multiplying b with the whole of 1 minus r. So therefore, you need to bracket it. Okay, then the next step is we have to apply what we have learned earlier on. Yes, that is one group as well as I explained just now. We have to apply what we have learned earlier on that the opposite of that this group here, this term here on the left means b times bracket 1 minus r, and the opposite of times, this is times, opposite of times is divide. So therefore, we need to divide both sides with 1 minus r. Sorry, I need to divide both sides with b, and I'll end up 1 minus r equals to a over b. And so step 3 is to add r to both sides, because opposite of negative r is positive r. So we have a over b plus r equals to 1. And since we're making r the subject, I need to get rid of this guy here. And a over b means positive a over b. So the opposite of positive is negative. So I minus a over b on both sides. And therefore, the answer is r equals to 1 minus a over b. All right. And if you are one of those that cannot, you need to combine them into a single fraction, then you can express your answer as b minus a over b. R equals to b minus a over b. And this is how we do question 3. Right, so for question 4, it's slightly challenging. X over a plus y over b equals to 2. And we need to make a the subject of the formula. This question is similar to the homework questions, exercise 1.4, question 2C. So when you're doing these homework questions, you may want to refer to how we manage a similar questions as such. Right, so there are 3 terms there. 1, 2, 3. Right, so to eliminate a, okay, we need to get rid of y over b first. And since the operation in front of y over b is a positive, we always do the opposite action. So we subtract y over b on both sides. And that explains why we have x over a equals to 2 minus y over b. All right. I'm going to use a shortcut here, right? As in, I'm going to combine. Shortcut as in the solutions provided will be shorter, more efficient. I'm going to combine these 2 into one single fraction. Okay, so because we have already learned in the earlier lessons how to combine 2 fractions into one. Okay, if you have forgotten that, you may refer to the earlier videos. Right. Two, it's equivalent to 2 over 1. Okay, and the lowest common multiple of 1 and b is b. The lowest common multiple, the LCM of 1 and b is 1 times b gives you b. Right, so what we need to do is correct to just multiply 2 over 1 with b at the numerator, also at the denominator. That will give us, yes, that will make it a single fraction really. So the next thing is I'm going to flip it, flip the left, also flip the right. Now this is a word of caution because you can only do that when you have a single fraction. Okay, what's a single fraction? This is called a single fraction, x over a. Single fraction on the left, single fraction on the right, then you can do a flip. That will give you a over x equals to b over 2b minus y. All right, if you have x over a equals to 2 over 3 minus y over b. You cannot, I need to warn you, cannot do a over x equals to 3 over 2 minus b over y. Okay, your teacher is going to get very mad with you. No, no. All right, you can only do it when you have a single fraction on the left and single fraction on the right. Okay, now the next step is I need to make a the subject, which means I need to get rid of my x here. So I'm going to multiply x on both sides of the equation. And therefore, this and this can goes off. So that gives us a equals to mb times x, means bx over 2b minus y. Right, the next questions we're going to do is similar to your homework questions from exercise 1.4, question 5a. This is quite similar to the earlier questions, right, where you're given a algebraic fractions. This is called algebraic fractions. All right, so what we're going to do is just going to multiply both sides with 9 plus x. It's the same concept as earlier on. Right, so if you practice a few more questions, you will see that certain questions you use this method, certain questions you use another method. And of course, I need to remind you to put the bracket. Very important, because 9 plus x, there are two terms there, so you need to bracket it. All right, so the next step will see us having this go off, and we need to expand. Okay, this is slightly different from the earlier one because you want to make x the subject. So can you see that we have an x here on the left and also x on the right? Okay, so we need to group them together, put them all together on the left side. It's like you have some friends on the other side of the bridge, some friends on the left side of the bridge and some friends on the right side of the bridge, but you want all of them to be on the left. So you need to bring those friends from the right to the left. So this is what's happening. But before we can do that, we need to open up the brackets, expand it on the left. Okay, this is what it means. And we have learned that also, expansion, in the earlier video. Okay, if you've forgotten how to do it, just refer to the earlier video. So that will give us y times 9, 9y plus y times x, xy. So that gives us 9y plus xy equals to 9 minus x. All right, so we need to bring this. Remember, we're saying the friends on the right hand side must bring it over to the left side. So we need to add x on both sides. So we end up 9y plus xy equals to 9. All right, now xy, I need to caution you guys again that xy plus x are two different families. Okay, xy is basically x times y. X is x times 1. They do not belong to the same family. Okay, so please don't go and add them and become 2xy. Okay, this is wrong. Your teacher will get very, very mad with you. Okay, you can't do that, huh? Because xy means x times y and x means x times y. Okay, so the next step is to minus 9y on both sides, so that this and this goes off. So we are left with xy plus x equals to 9 minus 9y. Then the next step is we need to factorize it. Okay, because x is x times 1. We also learned how to do factorization in the earlier video. You can refer to it if I've forgotten. So that gives us x bracket y plus 1, 9 minus 9y. And of course, the next step is just to divide y plus 1 on both sides, making x the subject of the formula. Okay, so this is how we do this question. Right, the next questions we're going to do is similar to your homework questions, exercise 1.4, question 5D. Right, this is the questions that involving a square root. Okay, square root. This is a square root. Right, just to recall some concepts, like square root of 4 means square root 2 times 2, and that gives you 2. So the opposite of square root is square. You see that when I square 2, I get back 4. Alright, so the opposite of square is square root. The opposite of square root is square. So therefore, to get rid of our square root, step number 1 is to square both sides. So that the square root and the square can cancel off. Right, like what I've explained earlier on. Square root 2 times square root 2 gives you 4. Sorry, what square root 2 times square root 2 gives you 4? This is wrong. Okay, I'm very mad with myself. Square root 2 times square root 2 gives you square root 4, and that gives you 2. Okay, because 2 squared is equals to 4. So therefore, square root 3 minus x times another square root 3 minus x will just give you 3 minus x only. Just give you this one only. Okay, so we will end up having y squared equals to 3 minus x. And if making x the subject, what do we do next? Yes, you just simply add x to both sides. Because negative, the opposite of negative x is positive x. And therefore, we have y squared plus x equals to 3. And here, to make x the subject, we minus y on both sides. Because the opposite of positive y squared is negative y squared. And therefore, we get x equals to 3 minus y squared, and that is our answer. Right, we've come to the last question, and this is similar to your homework questions from exercise 1.4, question 4. Right, so you're given a formula Q equals to P bracket X minus Y over R. We're asked to find the values of Q, and there's some values that we need to substitute in, such as given P equals to 4, R equals to 2, X equals to 15, Y equals to 3. So this is relatively easy. Okay, all you need to do is just replace the letter P with 4, replace the letter X with 15, replace the letter Y with 3, replace the letter R with 2, and basically just use your calculator to evaluate it, and you get 24. That is part A. For part B, we need to rearrange the formula to make X the subject. And this is not difficult, since after doing so many questions of making the subjects, by making the subjects of a formula, you should have no problem doing it now. Right, so what is step number 1? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What is step number 1? Yes, I think I heard you saying multiply both sides with the letter R. Okay, because we need to get rid of this guy here. And why you multiply it? Remember, we said whatever actions we do is the opposite. So this is actually P over X divide Q. P bracket X minus Y divide Q. So the opposite of divide is times. That's the reason why we times R on both sides. And that gives us QR equals to P bracket X minus Y. Okay, so the next step is to multiply, not multiply, P bracket X minus Y is equivalent to P times bracket X minus Y, and the opposite of times is divide. So we're going to divide both sides with the letter P. Okay, and then of course opposite of negative Y is positive Y, so add positive Y to both sides, and we get X equals to QR over P plus Y, and then replace all your letter Q, R, P, Y with whatever that's given here, and basically just use your calculator to evaluate it. Okay, and you have x equals to 15. And that ends the video. Right, happy learning.